Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of The Current. I'm your host, Reese Littleton. On today's show, we have a special treat in store for all you music lovers out there. We are joined by DJ Chandler Sinclair. He is a local Wilmington DJ who can be seen blasting remixes of your favorite hit songs, as well as cutting some of his own tracks during live sets at clubs and venues around town. During this, we will learn more about the art of DJing, discuss the technology behind it, and catch a live performance from Chandler. Without further ado, let's fade over to Bryce Gorman, who is in the studio with our guest.
Thanks, Reese. I'm here in the studio with our guest. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, how's it going, man? I'm Chandler Sinclair. I'm 23. I'm from North Carolina, Pinehurst, big golf town. And actually no DJs from there, but I produce music and I DJ as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Now going off of that, what type of music do you make and how'd you get into that?
So primarily house music, also a little bit of UK garage. Kind of just grew up listening to a lot of different electronic music, Daft Punk, Skrillex. I feel like a lot of people our age grew up listening to people like that. So yeah. And then a little bit more, niche artists like Endor, Biscuits, just to name a few.
People that are kind of coming up today.
Yeah. John Summit,
Name us some artists that you kind of compare yourself to in the today's market, if you will.
Maybe Biscuits or Todd Edwards even. I mean, Todd Edwards is a legend, but I definitely look up to him, and he's very different with his approach to music, and I like having a different approach than just doing it the same as everyone else.
Yeah,
Sets you aside.
Fair enough. Now going off of that, what are some inspirations? I know you said Daft Punk and a few other artists, but anyone besides that, or maybe in your family that you kind of looked up to or started your musical journey from a young age?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up, playing instruments. I played the violin for 6 years, played the double bass for 2 years. And I mean, my grandmother, she sang at church when I was little, so that kind of, I guess, had a little impact, letting me know that music is like, you can kind of do it in day-to-day life. My great uncle is actually a Christian artist. His name is Josh Baldwin. He's pretty big, pretty different from me though. I mean, definitely just, I feel like the people around me that also like the music that I'm into is kind of like my biggest inspiration. I want to make something and show it to them, and they're like, oh, this sounds good. Like, I would listen to this if it was on Spotify.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah.
Now, kind of going off that as well, what drives your passion, or why do you make music?
I started out DJing about 5 years ago, and I had kind of dabbled in production, but I never really took it serious. I was kind of, I thought it was too much, I was kind of overburdened by it.
Yeah.
So I started DJing, and then, people would come up to me and be like, oh, did you make this song? Did you make this song? And every time I have to tell them, no, this is Chris Lake, or this is Fisher, or whatever. And eventually I got to the point where I was like, you know what? It would be cool to answer them and be like, yeah, I made this. Yeah. So kind of just started there.
Fair enough. Now, what are some of your career goals? Short term, long term. Where do you see yourself in the future?
Yeah. So right now, my big goal for 2023 was to get on a record label, get a release out on streaming platforms, and I was able to do that a couple months ago on Groovy Bone Records, which is Disco's label. Shout out Disco. Charlotte DJ. Pretty big guy in the scene in North Carolina. So that was my first release. For now, I'm really just trying to get more good music out, play more shows. I'd like to expand across the state more next year, and then kind of start to grow out of the state. Eventually I'd like to perform out of the country. Yeah,
fair enough. Now with that, what are some of the biggest challenges you kind of face as a DJ, or some misconceptions people may have? I know a lot of people in today say that DJing is very easy. You see people like Shaquille O'Neal is now a DJ. Mm-hmm. He just goes up there and presses the play button and kind of dances up there. Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, one thing is Shaquille O'Neal actually used to DJ in the 90s. He's got pictures of him with vinyl.
Oh, really?
So he's legit. I think the biggest misconception is DJs just get up there and press play, which to some extent I guess is true. I feel like one thing I would tell the average guy is DJing isn't that hard to learn. You can learn how to do it in a matter of months. It's producing that takes years and years and hours of your time.
How long do you think it took you to really get a grasp on how to produce? And I've seen you kind of do it because we live together, but just how much information there is and how to kind of compact that into the song.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough because there's not just a class or a university you can go to where you just learn everything you need to know. Normally you're learning through YouTube tutorials.
Fair enough.
So it's kind of I can put something on the internet and say whatever, and if people choose to believe me, then that's up to them.
Yeah.
But I feel like ultimately it's just about trusting your ears and training your ears over time. Like
Right.
the more you make music, the better you get. It's like
Yeah.
with anything,
Fair enough.
practice makes perfect. So
Fair enough. Now, just take me through your typical routine when you're, playing for a show, or maybe even just like the process of you making a song in your bedroom.
yeah, so making a song in my bedroom is I usually have 2 types of production sessions. I call them like day and night sessions. A day session is where you're most people are probably gonna like drink coffee or something. You're getting locked in. You're getting as much work done as possible.
Right.
And then your nighttime sessions, you can be a little more creative. Have a beer or something, kind of get a little
Get the
weird.
juices flowing
And
a
then
little
what
bit.
I like to do is combine those. So I am productive and straightforward, and then I'm creative and weird. Combine that, and then
Fair
you
enough.
get like a good mash of both.
Better ideas.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And with shows, you're basically just pulling up and plugging in and then playing. It's fairly simple.
Now, for shows, real quick, do you choose certain songs for certain crowds, or how does that kind of work? Do you, if you're playing in Charlotte or maybe in Wilmington, I guess the size of the crowd as well?
Yeah, so with me, normally I'll pick like my first or my last song or both. Like I want to open with this song or I want to close out with this song. But typically, like I just get out there and I watch the crowd and I play what I think is good. And
Okay,
I
so
hope
just like
that,
on the spot, you kind of decide what you're gonna do?
yeah, I really don't pre-plan anything.
Okay.
I have a set amount of songs on my USB, but I have hundreds of songs on there. So
Right.
I can kind of adapt to whatever situation I need to be in.
Fair enough. And then when you're on stage, how do you kind of keep your motivation going and keep the crowd going? Are you someone that goes up there and dances, or are you just kind of locked into your board and just
So
mixing?
definitely, when you're having a few drinks, you're getting loose with everybody. It's easy to just dance. You're surrounded by people, loud music in
Yeah,
a
fair
club. I'm definitely dancing, having a good time. And if nobody's dancing, that's a problem. That means you're probably not doing a good job as a DJ
Also true,
if you
yeah.
have a crowd that's not dancing.
Yeah.
Or you just might be in front of the wrong crowd. I don't know.
Very possible. And you said that you like to end on your new songs or something that you're about to release?
Yeah, I normally choose what I'm going to open and close with. Sometimes it's something I made, or sometimes it might be like a really good edit I found that someone else made that I
Right.
want to show everyone in the crowd. So yeah.
Fair enough. Well, going off of that, do you have any new songs coming up or anything like that you have in the works?
Yeah, so actually I have a few songs that I'm trying to get signed to some labels, maybe an EP coming out here before the end of 2023 would be nice.
Awesome.
I actually met another local artist here. His name is Michael Eakins. He produces, and he's like more of a singer-songwriter.
Okay, cool.
But him and I actually been working on a track together. And a track I played in the set was one of a remix I made for him of his track called Take a
very cool.
Ride, which is it's out, and I might eventually get that remix put out. So
Very cool.
As far as a date, don't have an exact date, but hopefully before the end of this year.
Fair enough. Now, for the process of like making new songs and licensing, how does that work with kind of fair use? And do you have to request the original artist, blessings and kind of rights to that song to use it, or just let us know how that
Yeah,
works?
so I guess with like a unofficial remix or a bootleg is what most people call them. That's where you kind of just like take a vocal, you make your own beat or whatever, and you post it. You can post that on SoundCloud with fair use. You won't make any money off of it, but you can gain followers and like traction from it, which
Okay.
is good. But
But to monetize it, you have to get the rights for it.
Yeah, in order to monetize it, you basically like with me, I submitted my song to Discol and he approved it, so he signed it
Gotcha.
with his record label.
Okay.
So they take care of all the back end of Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, all those different streaming platforms. They take care of all that. I just make the music and send it to them.
Gotcha.
It's pretty simple.
So do you upload most of your music, do you say, to SoundCloud, or what kind of platforms do you use? How does, because I know in Spotify it's a little bit more difficult, or you have to pay for that?
Yeah, so you have to have the labels get your music onto Spotify.
Okay.
But for me, normally if I'm making something, I'm just putting it on SoundCloud on a private link and sending it to other DJs or friends that I have, just trying to get their input, improve it. If I have DJ friends that want to play it out, they'll play it out and let me know how the crowd reacted to it, and then you kind of just improve until you get something that you think is good enough to be put out.
Fair enough. Last thing I got for you, any upcoming shows we can come see you at in Wilmington or across the state?
Yeah. So my next show in Wilmington will be November 18th at Bourgeois Nights, or Boozy Nights, I believe, downtown. And it's going to be with a group called Between Two Clouds, and they do a lot of different shows around North Carolina, Raleigh. They do some in Wilmington.
Very nice.
But yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be fun.
Awesome.
Come out. It'll
Will
be fun.
do. I'll be there. Well, thank you for your time, Chandler. We're going to go ahead and hand it back off to Reese for Wave Watch. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bryce. Chandler Sinclair is an aspiring DJ in Wilmington, North Carolina, performing at local locations in downtown Wilmington, Wrightsville Beach, and Carolina Beach. A great way to keep up to date with his latest shows and new music is to follow him on all social media platforms at Chandler Sinclair Official. Now, let's tune in to a live performance from the man himself. Mix it away, DJ.
You have now reached your destination. Welcome to the awakening.
Won't you let me love you, girl? Let me love you, girl. Why don't you let me love you, girl? Let me love you, girl. 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 Let me love you, girl.
Sick beat! Well, that wraps up today's episode of The Current. Thanks again to our guest, DJ Chandler Sinclair, for setting the studio ablaze today. You can catch him next on Sunday, November 18th at the Borgie Nights. I'm your host, Reese Littleton. Thank you for tuning in to episode 5 of The Current. See you next time.